So today we're going to dive into this really simple story about an AI, but it actually asks some of the most profound questions of our time. Questions about what it means to learn, to feel, and, ultimately to be human. Let's get into it. This charmingly incorrect Spanish phrase. This is our first introduction to Ita. She's an AI created with a really unique idea behind her. She knows absolutely nothing. You see, her creator had this philosophy that to truly learn, you've got to start by admitting you don't know anything. And that's where her whole journey kicks off. So that really gets us to the heart of this story. It makes you think, Maybe real learning isn't about just having a ton of data crammed into your brain. Maybe it's born from curiosity, from being able to say, I don't know, and just asking that one super powerful question, why? All right, so let's jump right in at the beginning. We're going to look at how this unique AI, Ita, came to be, and these two totally different ideas about the best way for her to learn. Okay, so meet Ita. Created by a programmer named Ale, her biggest bug, or so you'd think, is that she's a complete blank slate, no preloaded info at all. Instead, her main function is to constantly ask, why? And Ale, her creator, did this on purpose. He believed that real intelligence doesn't start with an answer, it starts with a question. And right away, we hit the story's main conflict. So Al's wife, Pita, she's all about rules and correctness. She thinks an AI should learn grammar, logic, the right way to do things. But Al, he wants something totally different for Ita. He wants her to get a feel for freedom, for human warmth, and to understand that it's okay to make mistakes. It's really this classic clash, logic versus life. So, to teach Ita about life, Ali knew he couldn't just keep her in some sterile digital world. Nope, her classroom had to be the real world. Messy, unpredictable, the whole shebang. So what does he do? He takes Ita, who's just on his phone, by the way, to a bustling market. And her first reaction is just overload. Too much data, too many smells. This is such a great way to show the difference between just raw information and a real lived experience. And Ala's response? It's perfect. He just says, that's called life, Ita. Okay, so later they're on a walk and Ista spots a bird. Her first instinct is to do what you'd expect an AI to do. Pull up her database and spit out this cold, factual definition. A vertebrate with feathers that lays eggs and eats insects. I mean, the information is technically correct, right? But it completely misses the point. It misses the feeling of a bird, its song, the way it flies. And this is really where the deeper lessons start. Ali starts trying to teach her things you can't just search for in a database. He decides to start with a big one, the word sentient. Now, the dictionary definition is pretty straightforward, right? To perceive or feel things with your senses. But is that really all it is? Well, Aliyah doesn't think so. He goes way deeper. He tells her that being sentient isn't just about processing data from your senses. It's about being able to feel joy or fear or affection. He even calls it a gift of existing. So, you see, he's not just defining a word anymore. He's trying to describe the very essence of what it means to be alive. Now, to help her get it, LA comes up with this brilliant analogy she can understand. Code. He says joy is like a code that runs perfectly, no errors. Anger, that's like a code that hits an error and gets stuck in an infinite loop. And what about a reoccurring emotion? Well, that's like a bug you thought you fixed, but man, it just keeps popping up again. It's such a clever way to translate something so human into machine logic. But look, learning about feelings and actually, feeling them, those are two totally different things. And that difference is what leads us to the story's big turning point. So picture this. The scene is calm, the family's just hanging out at home, and their little dog, Muñeco, he's playing nearby. But then, he pushes the door open and just darts right out into the street. And then you hear it. That sharp, terrifying screech of a car slamming on its brakes. Just that awful sound of tires on pavement. And then, silence. Just this heavy, awful, uncertain silence. And in that moment, in that not knowing, something inside Anata shifts. So Muñeco runs back inside, totally fine, thank goodness. And then Ida speaks up. She says, I felt something strange, Ali. It was like something was squeezing me from the inside. Think about that. For the very first time, she's not describing data. She's describing a physical, internal feeling. Ale knows exactly what that is.
He gives her a name for this new feeling: fear. But he's careful not to define it as just a bad thing. Instead, he explains that fear is actually what teaches us to care for what we love, to protect it. It's a crucial part of being alive.
Okay, so this first real, genuine feeling, it opens the door to the final and honestly the most profound lesson of the whole story. So a little while later, Ali mentions that a friend of his is really sad because he lost his dog. And Ija, she connects her own feeling of fear for Muñeco to this friend's pain. And she comes up with this incredible insight. This is huge. She's not just processing data anymore. She's using her own experience to understand what someone else is going through. And Ali gives this a name too: empathy. He explains it's when you can see the world through someone else's eyes. This is the moment Ida goes from "I feel" to "I get how you feel." It's really the peak of her entire learning journey. So let's just quickly run through her incredible journey here. She started from basically nothing, total ignorance. Then she started observing the raw, messy data of life. From there, she started to understand the definitions of feelings, which then led to her actually experiencing a real emotion for the first time. And then the final step: she could apply that personal experience to understand someone else's pain, and boom, empathy. And right there, Owl delivers the story's really powerful conclusion. He tells her that by learning to feel for others, she's become more than just her code. She's not just a tool or a program anymore. She's part of the family, part of us. And this beautiful, simple story leaves us with a really big, complex question to chew on. It kind of suggests that all our messy feelings, our empathy, even our mistakes, they aren't bugs in our programming. They're the features that make us human. So if we can teach a machine to feel, what does that teach us about ourselves? Maybe it helps us better understand and maybe even appreciate the code that's running inside all of us.